What's going on, guys? Today I'm replacing the radio with this thing in the 4Runner, and I think that this is way cooler than most of the upgrades people do, because normally you'll just throw like a double din Carplay cheap radio in one of these, and I just think those are tacky, and I really like having the knob on there for the volume. This is slightly bigger than a regular double din, but we're going to modify it slightly, make it fit. I'm also going to wrap the radio bezel black because I have the limited wood grain one. I'll also link in the description where I got this radio. This is a really cool one. It's a wireless CarPlay. Stay tuned for next time. I'm also going to do the sound deadening and the speakers on this whole thing, but just for now we'll get started on the radio. All right, so the first thing I want to do is get this bezel out of here, and as you can see, it's just a regular double din in here, but that radio, if I fit it up to here, it goes about a ½ inch over on each side. So all we're going to do is just take a rotary tool and try to trim that down. My goal is to get it in a way where these corners are smooth enough that I can just wrap around to the back and have it look seamless. But for now, we will get this thing off and see what we're looking at. Now, before I get too far cutting open my whole bezel, I want to make sure that my plan is going to fit. So I'll start with taking out this old radio just so I can mock up the new one in there and make sure it's going to be able to go in. Oh man, that's a big one. Holy. Let me see if I'll be able to reuse these brackets though. So assuming that I can fit it up something like this, it should work because those sides are pretty much touching. The inside of it is like the same as a double din. It's just a screen that gets bigger. So as long as that's the right depth, that's an option to get it to mount. Things are not looking bad though. It seems like we got some options. I think now that it's off the car, I can wrap around all these edges a lot better. So to do that, I'm gonna try to remove this ashtray, the cigarette lighter port thing. I'll get the clock and these buttons out of there the best I can. And I think for the air vents, I'll just have to cut around them. As you can see, now that it's out, I can show you a little better. So if you look, the radio itself is just slightly bigger than that hole, but it's still plenty big enough to fit in the whole thing. So with that, I'm gonna cut these edges. The top and the bottom are the exact same. It's still double din like size, but the sides need to get trimmed a little bit. And depending on how clean I get those lines, I might just wrap the whole thing around so it looks good. But let's get started just disassembling this thing. The reason the light is green in the ashtray is just because of this little piece of plastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out so that it's at least yellow. It's a little bit better, I think. Well, it's still in there, but it's out of the way. As you can see, like you could see straight through without the green. All right, that's looking good. The thing is completely disassembled, except for the cup holder because I am terrified to break that. I think it's awesome that it works, so I'm gonna just leave it. I'm going to get some cardboard or paper, probably cardboard, and make a template. If there's anything that will make the perfect template, it's definitely gonna be this old Spider-Man 3 folder. Okay, so my plan is, I don't have a plan actually, but I'm gonna find a way. All right, so with the second one I finished, I just cut it out once clean. So now I guess I'll just tape that up where I need it and then try to draw a mock-up of where it's gonna sit. Okay, this is definitely the hardest part. It's just to start cutting. So let me be as careful as I can here. Check that out, dude. That honestly fits pretty mint. I mean, it's not centered, so as you can see, easier with this off. the bottom corner is like right up against that, and this other corner is not really, but it wasn't centered to begin with, so that's probably going to help me get it mounted closer to how it was and hopefully give me an easier time. I did scuff here and here a little bit on accident with the rotary tool, but honestly, considering how it could have gone, that's pretty good. So let me show you guys my other work. So on my old Civic, I did a relocation for the AC stuff, and that cut is not nearly as good, and I had to fill it with like JB Weld and then paint the whole thing. It was kind of scuffed, but this is the only practice I had prior, so I think I've learned to be more conservative with it. And sanding it by hand, especially since this was somewhere I could get a block into to make sure that stuff is completely straight, that's really the trick. And just not overdoing it with the rotary tool, because I did utilize the rotary to kind of get consistent cornering with this tiny little sanding bit that just fits right up into the corner perfectly. So that's how I got the corners. You want to try to make sure not to go too far with it, that way you could just block it out and get to the corner until it's flat. Now let's all pray that we can mount it in a way that it will fit exactly where I just cut out. So I was looking at this, and since I have it all apart, I can replace the bulbs back here for the climate control, and then this is also the bulb for the cigarette lighter, so I could put an LED there. And I have these, so I have these bushings here for the shifter. It's all wobbly. So I'm gonna take off this screw, try to get those bushings replaced, and then change out all the bulbs while I'm in here real fast. So if you look down here, the amp is this thing. The plug that I was looking at was this, which is like not a normal Toyota plug. I don't have the harness for that, and I'm gonna put an amp in this thing anyway. And then I realized that after I researched it, if you take this amp out, the regular Toyota harness plugs into that amp. So the radio that I bought, obviously I'm gonna have it in the description, but it's meant for some kind of new Toyota, and they use the same plug here. I think it's meant for like a new Corolla or some kind of Toyota, but it's a radio made specially for that car. So it has all the Toyota harnesses on it, which this is one of them, so I won't have to splice anything. And so now the last thing to do is try to figure out how I'm gonna mount this thing perfectly where it needs to go. So I tried to take the brackets it came with and make it fit into the car, and I got it close, but it wasn't perfect. And with how good I cut that out, I really wanted to get it looking as good as I could. And maybe this is not the best way to do it. You guys don't have to do it this way. Basically what I did though is I took this plastic JB Weld stuff and I put it all around the edge, and I just made the radio part of the bezel, because I think for me this will work just fine. Another thing I did is I took super glue, and before I put this JB Weld on here, I was able to get the super glue. It's gel and it has like a tight tip, so I was able to stick the tip right into the crevice and kind of fill the cracks all with super glue. So I took that super glue, I filled in the cracks to begin with, and then after that I followed up with that plastic JB Weld, and that stuff allowed me to like build up a sort of structure to the outside, and hopefully it won't come down. I'll pin the comment if it ever does break on me or fall out. In that case, I'll either figure something out or just do it again, depending on if it lasted a long time. And if you think I'm doing a horrible job here, just feel free to clown on me and come up with a better solution on your own. But I'm not so good at fabricating those brackets. It's kind of proving difficult to me, so I just did this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the cover, because that stuff is almost cured anyway. Alright, so this is a bit of a jump forward, but the whole thing is in. Basically, the one that I ordered is a Toyota radio. Well, it's meant to go in a Toyota, not this one, obviously, because we had to cut it out. But the harness is the same, so I just plugged that right in. I hooked everything up back together. But yeah, overall, it's done. I'm really happy with it. I hope that this can give you guys some ideas to do something similar, or just be helpful if you want to do the same thing. But yeah, overall, only thing that I would suggest is maybe do research on different head units that might fit in the same application, because I didn't really do any like quality testing or anything on this head unit, and I'm going to be stuck with it depending on if it works really good or not long term. But overall, the idea and the way that I got this hooked in, I think works really well. And really, that JB weld is solid in there. That is never coming out. So I'm really happy with it. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. Soon to come, I'm going to do amps and all 4 speakers in this thing. So keep an eye out for that, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.